on George Floyd intended to cause substantial or had a sense of causing substantial harm in doing what he did, and as a result caused George Floyd's death.
Okay, when you count the 3 charges, guilty on all counts, he's eligible for 70 years in prison time. What does that mean here? Because each state is different, too, specifically when defendants are charged and when it comes to actually servicing prison time. 70 years eligible, what does that mean here in the state of Minnesota?
What people need to understand, Kevin, is that judges are bound by what's called sentencing guidelines. And what that often means is the maximum sentence is not often imposed. For example, in this jurisdiction, in general, the sentencing guidelines would recommend about 10 to 15 years on second-degree murder, 10 to 15 years on third-degree murder, and about 4 years on manslaughter. So what the prosecution is likely to do here is ask for what's called an upward departure. They're likely to ask the judge to institute an aggravated sentence. It's essentially like saying what he did here was so egregious. What Derek Chauvin did here was so egregious, it requires, judge, for you to depart from the normal guidelines. Now, there was a reference to a Blakely hearing in the soundbite you just played. Typically, what that means is the judge is going to look at some aggravating factors that might lead to going beyond those sentencing guidelines. 2, for example, are that this happened in front of children, and this happened as an abuse of government authority. The judge will take that in. He'll take in the reports that he mentioned. And in 8 weeks or so, he'll render his sentence. But it's likely that the prosecution is going to ask for that increased sentence, and the judge is going to have to make the decision. Was this more than what the guidelines require? Were those aggravating factors there that require him to say, I know what my guidelines are, but I have to go beyond that based on what I believe happened in this case?
You mentioned children, too. This crime was witnessed by multiple children, including a 9-year-old girl who testified that watching the restraint made her, quote, sad and kind of mad. And for some perspective, it was great that you can give us this concept that it's not going to be 70 years, at least not expecting that in the next 8 weeks. In Minnesota, defendants typically serve 2/3 of their penalty in prison and then the rest on parole. We will find out, of course, in the next 2 months. Ryan, we do appreciate your perspective here. Thank you.
Sure.
Kevin, speaking of perspective, we're getting more reaction to the NBA world, specifically with some of the Timberwolves, their biggest star, Karl Anthony Towns. Justice and accountability, things I never thought I would see. There's much more work to do, but this is an amazing start working toward the reform this country needs. Ricky Rubio, just one word, justice. And Malik Beasley, tears of joy. Hashtag justice. Let's hear now from Hawks head coach Nate McMillan.
I feel that the jury did their jobs. You know, you got to hold everybody accountable for their actions, and you know, the jury found him guilty on all 3 charges, and I thought they did their jobs. I mean, that's all everybody is asking for in this country, is to hold everybody accountable for their actions. And I thought they made the right decision today.
Thank you, Coach. Alec McQuaid.
Coach, kind of building off of that, I think, you know, when you reflect on maybe the last 11 months or so, it's, you know, you can't ignore the impact players the NBA have made, you know, with people being aware and speaking out about the George Floyd case and the many others after that. When you reflect on these past 11 months, are you proud to be a part of this league and the NBA and allowing everybody to speak their mind when it comes to these things?
Yeah, well, you know, a movement was necessary with, you know, some of the things that were going on in this country. And things that continue to go on in this country. So that movement at that time, I think, was the right thing to do. You know, a lot of people, you know, kind of jumped on board with the injustice movement, and the NBA was a part of that. It kind of started, you know, with the Coaches Association, with Coach Pierce, you know, getting us involved with the injustice program, the voting rights program. And it was something that, you know, as a league, as a coaching fraternity, it's just something that, you know, and as a black man myself, felt really passionate about. And we knew that change was needed and necessary. And we have to continue to fight for change. And, I thought today, the ruling that jury came up with was the right ruling. And, hopefully, this will send a message that you just have to do right, and we're going to hold you accountable no matter who you are or what type of position, badge, or, whether you're president or CEO or whoever, we're going to hold you accountable for your actions.
Literally the words exactly from Nate McMillan's mouth to LeBron James' tweet, accountability. Again, as we react, the sports world reacts to the verdict coming in of Derek Chauvin, found guilty on all 3 counts. And we actually go out now to ESPN's Myron Medcalf, who joins us live from Minneapolis. You're downtown, Myron. Can you sort of just walk me through the atmosphere in the hour and a half since we got that verdict?
Well, we're down the street here from the courthouse at a place called Seven Steakhouse in the heart of everything. And there were people cheering, people coming by, celebrating, throwing their fists in the air. I think there's a sense of relief from some people. There's also a sense of shock. While everyone was celebrating, they're also driving by boarded up buildings. The city has basically been shut down because I think a lot of people were anticipating the worst. And now there's a sense of relief from so many people who didn't know what to expect. They didn't know what the verdict might be. But now to hear guilty on all 3 counts is just really resonated throughout this whole city.
Yeah, and I know that you, Myron, are a resident of Minneapolis. Can you walk me through, because I know how I feel, right? And I'm not there. The sense of tension in the city, what it's been like leading up to today and what you've witnessed in the hour or so since.
I mean, you can make the case, Elle, that jury might have saved the city. And I'm not saying that just to be on TV. I'm saying that because that was the tension. Relationships were broken, friendships, communities. This is a hurting community. And I think if you would have had a not guilty verdict, I'm not sure how Minneapolis and the surrounding area would have recovered from that. So I just think what happened today helped a lot of people exhale for the first time in a long time and feel like, okay, maybe we can start to take some steps toward a brighter future. It's just been dark. There's just been a lot of darkness. And to hear guilty on all 3 counts, for a lot of us here, you finally see some light. And we just haven't had that in a long time.
And while you get a sense of closure when it comes to George Floyd, it's a community that also is on pins and needles because of what happened to Daunte Wright. And again, you're looking at another trial involving a police officer killing an unarmed black man. Myron Medcalf joining us live from Minneapolis as we get that verdict.